In the aftermath of a massive war, King Fernando greets his people and prepares to watch the burning of an accused witch named Ana. Ana gives birth to a child named Leon while she is being burnt alive, and then the Silver Mackay Knight saves the baby from the fire and takes off with him. A nationwide hunt is launched for this mysterious knight who is believed to be the father of Leon. Multiple suspects are brought and killed, but this leads to a lot of crime and even the innocents have to hide in fear. A man named Herman tells his lady this story while they fool around with each other. The lady doesn't believe Herman and asks for more money, but he is out of cash. Leon visits him from outside and sends some gold his way so Herman can do the nasty with his lady friend. Meanwhile, a witch seduces a victim and feeds him to a monster. Herman shares some tales about demons with his lady and gives her a thrilling performance. However, she turns into a demon and attacks Herman. Luckily, he easily kills her as he is the Silver Knight Zorro. Then we see Leon, who turns into the Golden Knight Garo and takes on a fierce opponent. He puts up a tough battle and shows off all his skills, after which he totally demolishes the enemy. Later we see the king's son Alfonso, who's all grown up and ready to serve his country. At night, a priest kills an innocent woman and summons a demon. Later, Herman meets a woman named Garm and learns about the king's aide Mendoza, who is carrying out secret assassinations. He is told that he needs to stop Mendoza as soon as possible, otherwise more monsters will show up. Leon has a bad dream about his mom, so Herman throws him in the river to cool down. The father and son have a strange relationship, as Leon is aggressive towards Herman. Meanwhile, Alfonso is shown to be a humble knight, but his mother Esmeralda is framed for poisoning her husband as part of Mendoza's evil plan. Now Herman runs off with another woman, and it makes Leon angry. He walks through town where the priest is torturing a girl named Emma. Women continue to disappear regularly, so Herman and Leon decide to investigate the matter. The priest takes out all his torture tools for Emma, but she identifies him as a demon. The priest transforms and identifies Emma as a Mackay alchemist. Leon and Herman come to the scene and distract the monster, thus allowing Emma to escape her bondage. She fights the monster along with Leon, but our hero gets smacked into a cross. He remembers his mother and it triggers a transformation. However, Leon loses control, so Herman has to calm him down. Meanwhile, Emma kills the monster in a savage fashion. Later, Alfonso learns about his mother's imprisonment, so he sets out to seek justice. The next day, Herman and Leon are told to inherit the Zaruba, which will give Leon more control over his battlesuit. They meet Emma at a pub and she teases Leon at first, but sees his scars and learns that he is Anna's son. Leon walks away, so Herman tries to get lucky with Emma, but fails. Now the father and son go to meet Gael, who is the best alchemist in town, and is repairing the Mado skull ring that Leon had inherited from Anna. Gael decides to unleash the Zaruba so that Leon can use the skull ring. He performs a ritual and succeeds, but his assistant gets greedy and kills him for the Zaruba. The traitor tries to escape, but is stopped by Emma. He unleashes an attack and shoos her away, so that he can put the blame on her when Herman and Leon shows up. Leon chases after Emma and gets into a battle with her. Meanwhile, Herman realizes the truth, so he confronts the traitor who transforms into a monster after failing to use the ring. Leon decides to become Garo, and he dominates the traitor with ease. He also gets the ring and finally forms a contract with Zaruba after winning his fight. Later, Alfonso is attacked by a group of monsters, but is saved by a Mackay knight named Rafael. He introduces himself as the Knight of Light and decides to take Alfonso with him as an assistant. Herman and Leon make their way to a village and notice that the people are very ugly. They meet the village elder who acts hostile and asks them to leave immediately. Later, Leon and Herman find a kid named Alois getting bullied as his mom is believed to be a witch. Our heroes stop the bullies and take Alois to his mom Aurelia, who immediately catches Herman's eye. However, Leon senses something wrong with Alois, who peeks at them from his room. Suddenly, the village people barge into the house and take Aurelia away. They attack Alois as well, but Herman helps the boy get away. He proceeds to save Aurelia from the villagers, and then Leon goes looking for Alois. He finds a cabin filled with skulls, and then he meets Alois and takes him back home. However, he also notices something odd about Alois' doll. After a brief chat with Herman, he realizes that the true monster is the doll and it's making Alois do its bidding. The villagers return to attack Aurelia, so Herman protects her, while Leon goes after Alois and his doll. As expected, the doll transforms into a monster, and Leon becomes Garo to dominate it. He stops when the monster shows Alois' face, so he gets overpowered. The monster escapes to go kill the villagers, and then we learn that Alois wants the monster to do this because these villagers wrongfully killed his dad. Regardless, Leon decides to end things by fighting the monster again and killing it for good this time. Alois becomes emotional, but his mom consoles him. Now Alfonso and Rafael fight some monsters, but the prince needs strength to protect his country, so he asks Rafael to train him. Leon wakes up Herman and berates him for having dirty dreams. However, he faints during the new moon because Zaruba takes his life every time this happens as part of their agreement. Rafael tells Alfonso Esmeralda is actually Anna's older sister, so that makes him a Macay Knight as well. This is why Mendoza had organized Esmeralda's imprisonment. Rafael trains Alfonso for a bit, but says he has a long way to go. Later, Rafael and Alfonso go to the land of the grapes. They come across a haunted village where the Count Romeo is believed to have turned into a monster. The duo is attacked by the monster, so Rafael gets busy with it. Alfonso is knocked into a secret lair, where a monster is attacking a mother and her child. He does his best to attack it, but is too weak to do anything. Luckily, Rafael arrives and transforms into the Gaia Knight to burn down the beast. The next day, Leon finally wakes up inside a carriage. He and his dad finally come back to the place where it all began, Santa Bard. Herman wants to explore the city, but Leon takes the money away because he knows what his father means by that. Meanwhile, a swordsmith named Jordi is delivered the sword of his son, Sergi, which seems to be possessed by a spirit. Unfortunately, the spirit takes control of Jordi as well. As our heroes explore the town with Jordi, Leon is harassed by some women, but Emma takes him away. She learns that Leon is a virgin, so she teases him for a bit. Now Jordi tells our heroes about the Black Knighthood, where even Sergi serves his duties. Suddenly, Jordi feels sick, so he walks out of the bar, but transforms into a giant monster and kills some knight. The next day, Jordi's adopted son Julio bonds with Leon after seeing him save a kid from an angry shopkeeper. They go to Jordi's home and dine, but he acts weird. Julio asks Herman and Leon to investigate Sergi's sword, and they realize that it is cursed. They find Jordi in his monster form, so Herman transforms and kills the beast after a fierce battle. Julio breaks down into tears, but Herman suggests moving on. Now Herman gets some intel on the Black Knighthood from Emma, and then we see how these knights are getting possessed by monsters. At night, an innkeeper suspects Alfonso to be the prince, so she calls the knights on him. Leon notices this and fights the knights to lead him away. However, a Macay knight named Bernardo dominates Leon with ease. Our hero turns into Garo, but it's of no use as he's beaten down by the Dark Knight without much effort. Luckily, Emma saves Leon, but Bernardo still cuts her strings and Leon falls somewhere else. Our hero has a weird dream where he turns into a werewolf and kills people, but then he wakes up next to a girl named Agatha and her granddad. Leon is being mistaken for a boy named Pepe, and he doesn't seem to have any memory of what's happened. He bumps into a woman from the church who is scared to see him, but quickly changes her tone when she realizes that he's lost his memory. Later, the real Pepe shows up in the form of a Pied Piper and takes Agatha with him to the church. Leon confronts the old man for the truth and learns that Pepe is the real werewolf who had lost both his parents to the people of this town. As a form of revenge, Pepe has been kidnapping children from the church and sells them off to slave traders. He does the same thing with Agatha and her friends, but throws a boy into the air when he resists. Luckily, Leon stops Pepe and turns into Garo. Pepe also transforms into a werewolf and a fierce battle follows. Leon comes out on top and kills the beast, but the kids get scared upon seeing his true form and run away. Leon bumps into Herman as he makes his way back, but the naked father simply asks for more money after scolding Leon for losing so easily to the Dark Knight. In a flashback, Herman spends some time with a lady and heads back home. He bumps into a blonde named Irene, who is being chased by some goons. Herman takes Irene and runs away after realizing the goons aren't monsters. They hide inside a cabin and Irene gives Herman a kiss, so he gets ready for some action. However, the goons show up and Irene reveals that she's a scam artist who is working with the goons. Realizing he's been duped, Herman gets out of the cabin and runs around naked till he finds some cloth to cover himself. He is chased by some knights for being vulgar, but Emma helps him out and allows him to escape. This is when she tells Herman about Bernardo defeating Leon. Herman is shocked to hear this, but is confident that his son will manage. He goes to Graham and demands to know why she didn't tell him about the Dark Knight. Another flashback shows Herman, Anna and Bernardo as friends who would always spend their time together. However, they were chased by knights one night because Anna was accused of being a witch. Bernardo had actually sacrificed himself to make sure Herman and Anna could escape freely. Back to the present, Herman goes back to the cabin and finds Irene, who is being attacked by one of her own teammates who has turned into a horrible monster. Herman takes on the monster and kills him with ease, so he finally gets to spend the night with Irene. This is when he meets Leon and has the chat with him about losing to the Dark Knight. Now, Rafael and Alfonso continue their training, and the prince is given a tough session. However, Rafael coughs blood and goes to meet Garm. He asks for a monster to train Alfonso as he is running out of time. She suggests the Chimera monster, so Rafael leaves immediately. Now Leon comes asking for the same thing, so Garm gives him another monster. Now Rafael tells Alfonso that he must get ready for the final test. Meanwhile, Leon kills his monster, but is unimpressed as he wants a bigger challenge, so he also targets the Chimera. The next day, Leon saves Alfonso from a cheating shopkeeper, and they strike up a friendship. At night, Leon finds Alfonso on the same path as him, so he suspects something fishy. The boys finally admit that they're here to hunt the Chimera, and then the monster appears. It attacks both the boys, so they decide to team up and kill the beast with their powers. They put up an impressive show and kill the guard, but the true beast wakes up and wreaks havoc. Leon becomes Gato and fights the beast, but gets overpowered and even Alfonso is beaten down. Rafael appears and becomes Gaia to fight the Chimera, but his illness takes over him and he gets killed. However, he passes his blade to Alfonso, thus granting him his Gaia armor. Alfonso transforms and kills the Chimera with ease, after which Rafael's soul bids him farewell. Now Alfonso and Leon learn their true identities and promise to fight Mendoza together. Leon takes Emma to meet Alfonso, and they also spot Herman, who is running away from an angry husband. The scandalous dad meets Alfonso and mistakes him to be Anna's son, so he becomes depressed. Meanwhile, Mendoza learns about Alfonso killing the Chimera, and then we get to see his origin story. It turns out that Mendoza was cursed by a Makai witch, which meant that even his wife and kid would be cursed with horrid burns. After realizing he can't have a happy family, Mendoza kills his wife and child and vows to get rid of all the Makai population. Back to the present, Herman finally learns that he's Alfonso's uncle, so he celebrates, but is knocked down into the river. Emma warns Herman that Leon's scars will get worse, but he has faith in his son. Herman, Leon, and Alfonso break into Mendoza's spooky castle and find his experimental lab flowing with blood. They learn this is where Mendoza has been making his monsters, and then they have to fight some of them. After escaping that scene, they bump into the Dark Knight, who openly challenges Herman. The boys go ahead while the men start fighting each other. Herman lands the first blow, so Bernardo transforms and gets serious. However, Herman refuses to fight till Bernardo explains what happened that night. We see a flashback where Bernardo gets beaten by the knights, but he eventually transforms and kills them all. After witnessing an innocent woman dying, Bernardo starts to question if people deserve to be saved. And then Mendoza comes and tells him to join his side. Now that he knows the truth, Herman gets pissed off, so he transforms and fiercely fights Bernardo. The Makai Knights engage in a supercharged battle and pull out their biggest moves. The fight eventually ends in a tie, but then Bernardo acts dirty and stabs Herman, so the playboy dad has no other choice but to kill his buddy. They bid an emotional farewell, and then the boys reach Mendoza. The villain unleashes a giant monster and reveals that he has been using humans as a medium for his experiments ever since Alfonso was a little child. Leon and Alfonso quickly transform into their suits and prepare for battle. However, Leon goes straight for Mendoza to avenge his mom, while Alfonso is left to fight the monster alone. Mendoza is too powerful for Leon, and then he makes him see a false vision of how Anna died. This triggers Leon and he evolves his suit, but loses control out of rage. Leon savagely rips apart the monster and proceeds to wreak havoc upon the city. Even Alfonso can't stop him as he's tossed aside, but then Herman tells him to hit the emblem on Leon's hip to disengage the armor before he loses his mind. Alfonso has no other choice, so he aggressively fights Leon, but isn't able to hit the emblem. Luckily, Emma freezes Leon long enough for Alfonso to complete the task. Leon falls to the ground and Herman saves him, but the giant monster revives itself. Herman is too weak to fight right now, so Alfonso merges with Gato and brutally assaults the monster. After a brief struggle, Gato manages to kill the monster as well as Mendoza. However, both Alfonso and Herman scold Leon for causing so much destruction. He is no longer a knight, so he has to figure out what to do next. Now Alfonso learns that his mom killed herself so that she couldn't be used as leverage against him. Alfonso cries holding her corpse while Leon jumps off a cliff, feeling devoid of motivation. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see part 2 soon. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. See you soon!